ABC Sports presents live the Professional Bowlers Tour. Today we come to you from St. Louis, Missouri for the $125,000 St. Louis Open. Today's field is a great one, featuring Swedish-born Mats Carlson in 5th place, who's looking for his first PBA title. He'll meet Norm Duke from Fort Worth, Texas, looking to return to the winner's circle for the first time since 1983. For 28-year-old Billy Young, this is his second career championship round appearance. In his first, he won the title. There is no doubt that the crowd will be cheering hard for hometown favorite Pete Weber, who qualified in 2nd place. In the number 1 position is Dennis Jacques. He'll be trying to win his 4th career PBA title. That's our field for the finals of the St. Louis Open on the Professional Bowlers Tour. Now for 20 years, we have come to the St. Louis area to cover live the finals of another Professional Bowlers Association tournament. The finals of the St. Louis Open, long the cradle of bowling. And as you saw, we have such an interesting field with a young man from Sweden, Fort Worth, from Tulsa, from Middletown, New Jersey. And as we indicated, the hometown favorite is undoubtedly Pete Weber. My colleague won in his hometown, the St. Louis area, and he is at home here just as he is at home on any bowling lane anywhere in the world. In fact, Nelson Burton Jr. is on the lanes right now. Let's join him.
Thank you, Chris, and welcome to St. Louis. Today, the players have a chance to bowl on something we don't ever see on the Professional Bowlers Tour except one time, and that's today. And what that is a lacquer surface on the lane. What a lacquer surface does, and it is different from the urethane surfaces that we always see, is very simply this. The lacquer is very porous, so the oil or conditioner placed on the lane seems to go down in the lane and not carry down towards the pin deck area, and we don't see as many wild splits as we often see on television. But the second thing is the most important, and that's that lacquer allows the grain of the wood to have an effect on the bowling ball. For instance, this hard red board here, watch it all day long. The players will use this board to skid the ball a little bit in the pocket. This softer pine area out here, the players will use this area to hook the ball in the pocket. So it's the player who can guide the ball in the track area between these hard boards and the soft boards, can shoot some fabulous scores. Pete Weber averaged 247 here yesterday morning. Chris, I'm looking for this quintet to shoot some tremendous scores today. We're ready for action.
All right, thank you very much, Bill, for setting it up. And now, sort of the long and short of it all, here we have Mats Carlson of Gothenburg, Sweden, also the hometown of the great heavyweight champion, Ingemar Johansson. 3 years, a member of the Professional Bowlers Association, 6'1", weighs 80 kilos, 170 pounds. First shot. And he throws a powerful ball, blue bowling ball, rotating into the pocket, coming up beautifully at the end, Bo, and he is impressive. That's Carlson now at 5 feet 5 inches tall at 125 pounds. A man that uses all of the approach, Nelson. Norman Duke of Fort Worth, Texas.
Chris, Norm Duke, the first time he was ever on, 1983, as you see, 2 different bowling shoes on his feet. He went through 4 opponents and won the title, defeating such as Earl Anthony, some of the great ones.
And the youngest professional ever to win a PBA event at 18. And he has left the 6 pin. Let's replay a profile view of Norman.
Norm Duke, who is very slight, weighs 122 pounds, uses quite a bit of the approach. He has a long, full swing. He has a good pivot step. Watch that dark shoe drive through, press on through, and a good follow through. We'll talk about those shoes in a second, Chris. Basically, they're for adjustment of different type of approaches.
Going for the lone 6 pin. Very good. Norman Duke, whose mother and stepfather and brother are watching in person here at the North Oaks Bowl, the first year that we have come to this establishment. So we have a strike for Carlson, a spare for Norman Duke. And as we indicated, 18, he won his first title. Really became of age that day.
Wiping the conditioner or oil off the bowling ball, that gives it a nice smooth roll each time. Once again, you see the shoes. A dark shoe actually has like a rubber tip and a rubber sole on it. That's to drive through on the pivot step. The light colored shoe is for sliding. He's used those to adjust the approach. It's a good move.
All right, into the pocket, Norman Duke, who was 22nd here in the St. Louis area last year on the Weber lanes.
An ideal strike. Ball hits the 1-3, drives out to 5-9. Look at the 6, whack the 10 out. On lacquer-type surfaces, when the players get hot, they can often keep the same shot all day long. That's what we tried to impress with the lacquer. The conditioner seems to go down into the lane. The lanes seem very steady all day long.
Mats Carlson of Gothenburg, Sweden, looking for his first title, and now a double. That's it. Double for Mats Carlson of Sweden. Let's replay the stroke.
Mats, with that pronounced push away, he establishes it very early. Actually has a 3.5-step approach. He takes a very slight first step, drives through, just very traditional style. Watch the action of the 2-pin in the 4-7 zone. 2-pin the sideboard, bingo! Takes out the 4-7. Carlson starts with a double, has a 10-pin lead. Very deliberate player.
Our 7th stop at a tour of 16 cities. Up to today, 6 different winners of the PBA events in the past. Even though he raised up a little at the line, he did follow through, and Bo, perfect through 3 frames for the Swedish bowler.
Type of scoring that we had early in the mornings, all during the tournament. In the evening blocks, the scoring wasn't quite as high, but when the conditioner, as we talked about earlier, holds the ball on line, then the ball scores are really, really high.
There is Martha Crook. That's Norm's mother.
Just flew in from Texas.
Boy, and he needed that double. The young man who, along with his brother Micah and his mom, own a bowling establishment in Mount Pleasant, Texas, 160 miles east of Fort Worth.
You just can't do it any better than the young Texan did on that shot. He answered the turkey 3-bagger of Carlson with a double of his own. He knows it's there. Solid in the pocket. Trails by 10 with another strike here in the 4th. He would even the match. 2 young competitors. Very determined. Norm Duke.
There you see the story. Carlson with 3 in a row. Spare and a double for this man, Ray Bluth, there at the left bottom of your corner, Hall of Fame bowler from St. Louis. 3 in a row for 21-year-old Norman Duke of Fort Worth, Texas, as he bowls against Mats Carlson, 29-year-old pro from Gothenburg, Sweden. Our first match on the Professional Bowlers Tour telecast this week, and we'll be back to more action following this.
A bowler's greatest enemy, lane conditions. Difficult, changing, unpredictable. But there's a ball that handles it all. The AMF angle. Urethane control. Urethane hitting power. Devastating on any lane condition. #1 winner on the Winter Pro Tour 3 years in a row. Don't be left in the past. Hundreds of thousands of bowlers have chosen the Black Angle to get better scores. The AMF Black Angle at bowling pro shops only. The Angle strikes again.
Next.
From Sweden, Mats Carlson, not thus far showing the results of pressure in his very first TV appearance in his 3-year American career as a pro, has opened with 3 in a row, now in the 4th, in an all-even match, but can take a 10-pin lead with a strike here.
Break as you see the wrist action of Mats Carlson, reminiscent of Junie McMahon, the late Junie McMahon, Vera Papa. We call it the figure 8. Look at the push away. Now watch the action on the top of the swing. He turns his thumb down, around, then turns it back under. But look at the hand position at the point of release. Fingers still behind the ball. Not quite the powerful wrist action we see in Dennis Jacques or Pete Weber coming up, but well under control. And watch the tremendous break. Avoids the split, gets paid a premium. 4 in a row, leads by 10.
Beautifully done. A 5-bagger for the young man that has 2 pro shots, one in Sweden and one in Norway. And today trying to win the $18,000 first prize. So is Norm Duke. Open with a spare. Now it's a 3-bagger. Cut it to 10 with a strike here in the 5th frame. This is our first match. Billy Young will meet the winner. And then Pete Weber, followed by the tournament leader, Dennis Jacques.
Norm Duke, fingertip grip. Bowled in league until starting the tour in 1981 and 82. His league average, he told me, was 232. That's a good start to come out on the tour with. But he's matured since then.
Tough today, this 5'5" 125-pounder. Dead serious.
Excellent match game player. When Norm Duke came out of Texas, 1983, came on the tour, he went around the days we were off, like Saturdays, Sundays, Mondays. Instead of just practicing, he'd find somebody and say, hey, you want to bowl a little match game for maybe a dinner or soda or something like that? He's well known in the match game style. When he gets close, he's a fearless competitor, Chris.
18,000 the winner, 9,500 runner-up, 7,055 and 45. Norman Duke, and all his fellow Texans should be proud of him because he really knows your state's history. I was quizzing him earlier. Knows all about Texas. And Norm's mom, Martha Cook, appreciates it. Now we're all even again.
What a great opening match is. Once again, you see Motts walking off the ball. And I say Motts. That's what they call him over in Europe, Chris. We went over there for the Grand Prix tournament in Paris, France. And Motts, as they call him, had a big group, and they always rooting. Way to go, Motts. And used to get the Holman.
His hometown, Gothenburg, Göteborg. I did the World Figure Skating Championships there a few years ago. Oh, yes. I don't know whether, well, I guess he just saw your capo. We asked Mats Carlson if we were going to see more European professional bowlers on the U.S. tour, and when. Here's what he said.
I think so because they wanted to play the biggest event. They have 1987, and after that they would like to turn pro, quite a few. Because there are quite a few good bowlers out in Europe, too.
Well, and Chris, also, the World Championship that he mentioned in '87 is important to the amateurs. Plus, there is no pro tour in Europe. The PBA Tour is the only tour in the world. If you want to bowl as a pro, this is where the big money is.
One of the 160 starters this week in the St. Louis Open. And then back to reality, the 8-10. But what a beautiful string. We had gone to 6.
The pros call it that a DOA, dead on arrival. That ball off 8-10 was an apparent good hit. He just didn't have the lift and roll to knock the ball down. Knocks out one pin, and now Norm Duke has the lead, Chris.
All right, so for the first time, Norm Duke has taken over, but by the narrowest of margins, only 4 pins. More of the first match after this. Ah, yes, tennis tomorrow. And the Swede Wilander against Ivan Lendl right here on ABC. Live from the North Oaks Bowl in the St. Louis area, you're looking at Norm Duke, who has taken over by 4 pins. He has strung 5, now shooting in the 7th frame. Sliding by and part of the bucket to 2-4-5, scratching, rubbing his nose.
Both players lost the ball at the bottom of the swing in the 7th frame. Mats Carlson left the 8-10 split. Norm Duke bounces the ball as he lets go of it. Doesn't get the finish he's been getting. Leaves the 2-4-5 with a conversion here. He would lead by just 1 pin after 7 frames.
Tough spare, Bo.
Well, it's tough, Chris, if you're haven't been shooting it. Now, these fellows practice mostly strikes because it takes strikes to win on a professional bowler's tour. So what I recommend is go down the left side, throw it hard and straight. He's taking that attack.
Oh, yes. Sort of the dangerous way to do it, but He did it. Spare in the 7th frame, leading by 1. And we come now to the 8th frame of our first match. Tulsa's Billy Young will meet the leader. Then Pete Weber will step in, followed by Dennis Jacques, the tournament leader.
Good revolutions on the ball. A young player like Norm Duke has the ball turn over about 13 or 14 times in the 60 feet 3 inches from the foul line to the center of the head pin.
All but the 7. Norm trying to trip it back here on the approach with his right foot. Watch.
The action of the head pin. That's why you put revolution on a bowling ball. You see the head pin go to the sideboard, trip out to 4-5, doesn't quite come back and get the 7. With a conversion here, it will be all even after 8 frames. Very deliberate player. Cross lane, we use the 3rd arrow from the right-hand channel. Good spare shooter.
All right, Norman Duke, all even again. It is the 3rd time that we have been level in this very first match. Deliberate players, especially Carlson from Sweden. His mother was going to go home today, but then when he made the field of 5 here in the finals, she decided to stay on. And a high hit leaving the 6-10, and his mother, her reaction, spelled I-N-B-A, but pronounced Inga Carlson.
Inga, as Mats tells me, doesn't speak that much English, but she knows how to count the dollars. And right now, her son is in a position to win $18,000 if he can win 4 matches. Cross lane for the 6-10.
Nelson, you being my money man, do they have an Internal Revenue Service in Sweden?
Well, we spoke with Mats earlier, and what he told us is the ruling of what a foreign player has to pay. Simply this: if you stay in the United States more than 183 days in a 3-year period, you must start paying tax in the United States on the money you made in the United States. And if you make any money over in Sweden or any other foreign country, that is added to your United States income tax. Mats does not earn any income in Sweden, he said. Somehow he, I guess, has those pro shops, somebody else drawing the money out of him, so he pays just U.S. Income tax, and it's a lot less than Sweden.
Well, I'm glad he is a fellow contributor. By the way, happy to do it. Great country, USA.
Solid 10 for Mats. You see the 6-pin just zip right up around the 10-pin there. We're using 3-pound, 6, 7, and 8-pound pins this week. Mats picks up a very hard, shiny urethane bowling ball, cross lane to convert the spare. He would trail by just 1 pin. Look out.
So his second open disaster coming in this foundation, now trails by 12.
The ball just dropping off in the channel, narrowly missing the 10-pin, but we've seen it week after week, players changing balls, and it's very simple. If you would just, even these power players will take a little extra time to learn to break their wrist back or to throw a little backup ball. Now watch how he tries to throw his normal release. That's fine for strike ball, but why put that turn and hook power on a spare ball? And he's asking himself why I should do it too.
And at 21 years of age, his opponent, Norman Duke, is taking time, double-checking the score sheet overhead, then checking with Harry Golden and Frank Esposito to make sure what he needs to win.
Coming up in the 9th frame, he has the match well in hand. As you see that colorful array of shoes, he has a potential 256.
Oh. The Texan, what a competitor, jumping on an opportunity with a strike in the 9th. Watch his reaction.
Good concentration. Look at those eyes. Look at those eyes. He's talking to that ball. He knows what frame it is. He knows what the score is. That's what you get from all that match game competition. A tremendous amount of moxie in this young man. You see the scoreboard. He needs a spare and 8 in the 10th frame to lock out. No, to guarantee himself a tie. A spare and a 9 would be a guaranteed winner.
Exhale. And his mother, Martha. action there.
Good match game shot. For Norm Duke. Sure, he'd like to have the strike, but you see the deflections. The ball enters the 1-3 pocket and leaves the 5-pin. Norm Duke playing the track or weaving between the boards, as we talked earlier at the top of the championship round. He's putting a piece of tape in his thumb hole. Remember, he dropped the ball in the 7th frame. Apparently wasn't satisfied in the 10th. Now, he kept that ball in play and didn't defeat himself. He's left himself a simple spare, and he needs a 9 count to lock up the match.
There you get an idea of his grip. Taking very little time. Money shot. Remember his only title in 1983, and Mats Carlson was looking for his first win. Wanted to become the first foreign player to win a PBA event. 9 pins.
What do you do when you need 9? You set yourself carefully on the approach. Pretend you need a strike, because that's the safe spot, the 1-3 pocket.
So Norman Duke has won the first match over Mats Carlson of Gothenburg, Sweden, and that means that he will go against Billy Young of Tulsa, Oklahoma. All Southwest shootout coming up.
Today, coming from St. Louis, Missouri, this ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by Barbasol Shaving Cream, a great shave at a great price. By Midas, trust the Midas touch at over 1,400 locations in America. And by Kentucky Fried Chicken, it's cooked the Colonel's special way. Kentucky Fried Chicken, we do chicken right. We'll return with more bowling after these commercial messages and a word from your local station.
Live in St. Louis, our first match has ended with 6 strikes. Norman Duke has eliminated Mats Carlson of Sweden by 11 pins, 235 to 224. Carlson with 7 strikes but 2 open frames. Now, stepping in from Tulsa, Oklahoma, Billy Young, like Norman Duke, 1 title. Both need to win today in order to re-qualify for the 16th stop this year, the Firestone Tournament of Champions. Billy Young, 28, 5'10", 155 pounds. Well, he has left the 8-pin, and could be some anxious moments here as the track he's taking down, Bo.
Chris, he's opted for the outside line right out next to the channel. It's very precarious, but you'll get tremendous carry. Look at how he's out to the second board. We've seen that shot. David Ozio used that when he won the Miller Classic down in Miami. He avoids the 2-8-10 split. He'll get tremendous pin carry if he can keep the ball in the pocket from out there. We have the other angle being played by Norm Duke down the track.
Same outside line, covered the 8-pin, marking with a spare. You mentioned David Ozio. He did not come to St. Louis to defend his title.
Well, Chris, a couple of things. They changed bowling centers. We used to bowl with Dick Weber Lanes, and Ozio has a chance to win $1 million. That's the downside. We didn't get to see him play in St. Louis, and he'll be up there at the Miller Championship. He did pay a $500 fine for not defending his title, though.
Smooth as silk. Norman Duke of Fort Worth. He won that first match 235-224. Is open with a powerful strike. Looks like the wiry type that gets stronger as the afternoon moves on.
No doubt, and he's asked for re-racked. One of the 3 is allowed in the championship match, each match. And Norm Duke, well-practiced player, going against another well-practiced match game player. So, Duke, the left-hand lane, hooks a little bit more. The natural characteristic of the wood allows the left lane, lane 53, to hook more than 54. It will do that all day long. Duke standing a little farther to the left, playing a little more hook shot, a little more speed.
Again, smoothly putting that ball in the lanes. It's a double for Duke.
Solid in the pocket. 2 perfect strikes to start off the match, no doubt about it. He's made the adjustment. He struggled a little bit in the 7th, 8th, and 9th frames of the first match. He's relaxed, loose, and confident, but he's going against a very tough competitor, Billy Young, another tough match game shooter from the heartland of the country.
The 8 went out, but leaving the 4-7. Let's replay that last shot.
Billy, a style very similar to Mott's Carlson. He takes a 4-step delivery, establishes the push away early, very conventional on his backswing, shoulder high. Look at that left arm holding the left shoulder back, the right shoulder staying in the shot. Good knee bend. Didn't quite get the leverage you wanted on that ball, as you saw his elbow move slightly to the right as he came through the ball. Has a very difficult, or very simple 4-7 spare.
And a young man who, after high school, went to Tulsa Junior College, a wrestler in high school, along with a defensive halfback in football, and his dad, Billy Sr., an ABC All Events champion.
Won the All Events 1962 in Des Moines. And just to digress a bit, Chris, when I said David Ozio, the former champion, I guess here, of the St. Louis Open, who didn't defend his title, he has a chance to win $1 million by winning all 3 of the Miller tournaments on the Winter Tour. He's already won the first one.
And Billy just struggling here in the first 3 frames. 4, 6, 7, 10.
The outside line, he's down about the 5th board. He swings out to around the 2nd or 3rd board, taking a chance on having the ball jump high. He cuts right through the middle, leaves a 4, 6, 7, 10. Billy will just go for 2 of these pins, try to bounce it out, maybe get a good break.
And chooses the 4-7, and it's an open in the 3rd, and immediately trails by 28 pins over Norman Duke, whose high game this week was 299. Low game, 169. He had a 235 in defeating Mats Carlson, who shot a 224 in our first match. The winner of this will meet Pete Weber. Don't miss that game.
The line of Norm Duke playing around the 3rd arrow, playing in that track area, weaving between those boards as we talked about at the top of the championship round. Duke has the right line, and he's executing perfectly through 3 frames. He is going to be very, very tough to beat. But don't count Billy Young out. When he won his first championship last year, he finished with 7 strikes in a row. So once he loosens up a little bit, he can give Norm Duke all he can handle. In the early going, though, it's all Duke.
Down the left lane with a 3-bagger, Norman Duke. Just like that, we have a 5-7 split.
This Bowling Center North Oaks, Chris, I won the St. Louis City Match Game Championship here in 1963, and I left a lot of these 5-7 splits, and what you have to do is get the ball over here on the right side of the 5-pin and slide it over into the 7-pin. And by the way, Chris, the telephone number here is 382-5757, so they aptly named, or at least AT&T knew what they were talking about when they gave it the number.
That's right. So now, after 3 in a row, it is an open frame, and now Norman Duke is leading by 24. Our second match, the winner to meet St. Louis's Pete Weber. We'll be back after this.
He's professional bowlers tour. David Ozio will be 1 step away from $1 million payday if he clinches the $150,000 Milwaukee tournament next Saturday.
Yes, Bo and I will be in Milwaukee a week from today. Since they're bowling quite deliberately, we bowled through in the 4th frame, leaving the 3-6-10, marking with a spare. Now shooting in the 5th, and leaving the 2-4-5 is Billy Young of Tulsa, Oklahoma, who is trailing by 27 pins. 5th frame shot.
Billy Young, who's wiping his hand with a little rosin, and he's doing the proper thing, keeping it away from the ball returner settee area. It's actually illegal to keep your rosin in that area for the simple reason somebody might step in it. But he has also changed lines, Chris. He's opted for the inside line. After the 4th frame, he went high, left that 3-6-10. The 5th frame, he's moved to the track zone between the 2nd and 3rd arrows, much like Norm Duke.
Billy Young, who bowled in only 13 tournaments last year, earned nearly $32,000. Is against Norman Duke, who won the first game over Mats Wilander, 235, or Mats Carlson, 235 to 224. Tomorrow, Wilander will meet Lendl right here on ABC.
Should be a great tennis match. The great thing about bowling, that every 18 minutes or 20 minutes we have a sudden death match. Right now we're in the 2nd match. Duke won the first one. He has a commanding lead here against Billy Young.
All right. It left the 4-pin.
Norm Duke, when he won his championship in 1983 in Cleveland, had a 90% pocket percentage. What we mean by that, when he hit in the area between tripping the 4 a little high to light, by say rattling the head pin off the sideboard, those 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th boards, Duke carried 90% of the shots. He's not quite that good today.
For Norman Duke, a spare in the 5th frame. We told you he was 5 feet 5 inches tall, less than 130 pounds. We asked him if he has any tips for the smaller bowlers.
Well, leverage is so much more important with the petite player to generate the power and the speed. I recommend maybe a longer approach, try and get a higher backswing, a little more wrist action to try to compete with the players that are big and strong.
All right, for the petite players. Average size, let's put it that way.
Norm Duke, fingertip grip, has a gripper in the ring finger just to get a little more lift on the ball. He does it just like he recommends.
That just shows that the game of bowling is for everyone, regardless of the size. And that strike was as powerful as any that Dennis Jacques, our tournament leader.
10 in the pit. As you watch this 10-pin fall inwards, and that tells you you're playing the right line. Look at Duke. Great concentration. Good comeback after leaving the 5-7 split in the 4th frame. Now, Billy Young moves the inside line. He has to find the shot quickly to help close that gap of 27 pins.
We'll take it, crossing over. Strike in the 6th frame of our 2nd match. The winner to meet Mr. Excitement, St. Louis's own Pete Weber. Well, very deliberate players today, and we're allotted 90 minutes. They're in our 25th year, and sometimes we run behind, and sometimes we must bowl through here on the championship pair. We hope you understand.
Billy Young in a must situation for Billy Young. He's tried the outside line, no luck the first 4 frames. Moved inside, he was light in the 5th, crossed over in the 6th. He has to split the difference, get that ball in the pocket.
Well, as you said, he's a man that can close with those pocket shots and strikes. So now he trails by only 17. We'll be back.
Next.
All right, we're back, and don't forget Wide World, all the grace, most graceful of all competitions, professional figure skating. And professional bowling's Norman Duke, who won the first game, has put together 3 in a row. That strike coming in the 8th, and while we're away, he had a strike in the 7th as well, taking a 37-pin lead. But Billy Young, and there's Pete Weber. Oh, he is so intense, wanting to win before the hometown fans.
Watch the great break. The 6-pin lays in the channel. 6 lays in the channel. Here it comes. Love tap on the 10. See you later. Tremendous, tremendous break. He extends his lead to 37 over Billy Young. As the crowd reacts to Norm Duke's reaction, Young must strike.
So he too has strung 3. Tulsa, Billy Young Jr.
Billy Young, 28 years old, Norm Duke, 21, two of the fine young players we have on the tour. Both excellent match play competition. Both don't give up. Billy Young almost gave away the first 5 frames. He's back in the match with one more strike. He will trail by just 17 pins, the key 9th frame.
His bowling heroes, Tita Semez, Jim Stefanich, and Dick Weber. Tournament chairman here. High hit, leaving the 4-7.
Oh, and he really threw the ball pretty good. We said the left-hand lane hooks a pinch more than the right. He was very aggressive with the shot, but you see the ball snapping through, leaving the 4-7. He has just not found the right line or the proper line on the left-hand lane. He's zeroed on the right-hand lane. What he needs to do is convert this spare. The best he can shoot is 207. He needs to have Norm Duke get in trouble.
So now is Norman Duke, 3 in a row, shooting in the 9th frame, leading by 29, looking for his second win. And the winner of this game will meet Pete Weber.
Duke going at a 2:26 pace, a strike here would eliminate Billy Young right here in the 9th frame. They wouldn't even go to the 10th.
7 pin.
Not to be. That's the pin he left in that 299 game that Chris mentioned earlier. He had 11 in a row, left the same shot, left a 7 pin. Watch the action of the ball. It drives through the 1-3, hits the 5, doesn't quite get over to the 7 pin. A good controlled shot. Norm Duke, experienced player, not beating himself. You saw him work away on Mats Carlson in the first match and eventually close him out in the 10th. He's in the same situation here with Norm Duke in the match with Billy Young. Convert this spare in a good count in the 10th, he'll be the winner.
He's taking care of that. Only one 300 game this week in the St. Louis Open. That was Richard Bramwell as we look at Norm's mother, Martha. 300 to Bob Hanley's 242. Bramwell finishing 6th.
Norm Duke needs just 2 pins. Let's see, more than that, Chris. He needs 6 pins on his first ball to put him in a position for a lock tie, 7 to win.
And his first victory needed 9, got them, and here more than enough. And Norman Duke, here today, from the 4th position, has now won 2 matches and will meet Pete Weber. Well, in today's bowling tip, Bo will give you instructions on how to grip that bowling ball.
The Professional Bowlers Tour Tip of the Week is brought to you by Old Spice Stick Deodorant and Solid Antiperspirant. We give you 24-hour protection.
Has anyone ever explained to you exactly how you should hold the bowling ball or how much you should grip it? Today's bowling tip of the week will show you just that. Number 1, insert your fingers in the bowling ball and bury the thumb all the way in. Sure, we've all heard that before. But what should I do with the other 2 fingers, the index finger and the little bitty finger? They're outside the ball. You can put them anywhere that's comfortable. I prefer to let the ball sit on the index finger and use that as a guideline towards my strike target. Now, you should hold the ball in the palm of your hand and not with your fingers. The women oftentimes let the ball go like this, where their fingers are holding the ball straight down at the floor. This puts the hand in a bad position. Hold the ball in the palm of your hand, and when you swing it, try to keep it in that palm all the way through your swing, like this. See that? The ball stayed right in the palm of the hand all the way through the swing. Now here's a good practice vehicle you can use at home. First, take your thumb out of the bowling ball, out of the ball. Hold the ball in the palm of your hand with just your fingers inserted in the ball, and now swing it through the full pendulum swing. Look at this. It keeps the palm underneath the ball, it keeps your elbow close to your body, and keeps your ball in the proper position throughout the swing. Watch it again. Hand underneath the ball, thumb out of the bowling ball. Remember the old saying in bowling, hold a bowling ball like you would hold a bird. Don't squeeze it so tight that you kill it, but don't hold it so loosely that it flies away.
Once guys try the 24-hour protect.
All right, our second match has ended with 9 strikes. Norman Duke wins his second match of the afternoon. Oh, this time over Billy Young of Tulsa, 235 to 207. Now, we look at the size of the field, 160, average games 203, needed to reach the top 24 where there were no left-handers, 212.7. Let's look how they finished 6 through 24.
All right, Chris, and we did have 53 cashers. Bramwell shot that 300 game. Nesbitt, really a nice finish for him. Jimmy Winklepleck, good as always. David Houston, former U.S. Open champion. Bob Hanley, recovering from sickness. Powerful Mark Fate. Palmer Fulgren from Sacramento, my guy, keeping score. Magavero in there. Wayne Webb, Corona, James Miller back. Randy Johnson from St. Louis. What a powerful ball he throws. Don Scudder Jr., high average man on the tour. Mark Moon Baker. Brad Bowling, once again, always there. George Bram III. Ron Williams, when he was on in Las Vegas, Jim Harvey, and Butch Soper round out the top 24, 53 places. Chris, we paid $723. And here's our Best Ask Bo feature. How do the bowlers qualify for the Firestone Tournament of Champions? Once again, that is the final tournament on our ABC Tour. It's the defending champion, number 1. The last 7 Firestone champions. In other words, you get a 7-year exemption when you do win it. Number 3 is all PBA winners since the previous Firestone. So from April of 1986 till April of 1987, all those players will be included. Number 4, touring pros who are 10-time PBA champions. Fellows like Dick Weber, Mike Durbin, so on and so forth, all fall in that category as long as they are touring pros and won 10 titles. And finally, the touring pros with most titles to the least fill the field. And by that I mean pros that bowl 66% of the tournaments. If you have 9 titles, you go before a guy who won 3. And that's how we round out the 52-man field for the Firestone Tournament of Champions.
We'd like to thank all of you for sending letters in to Ask Bo. Naturally, we can't answer them all on television, but we'll try to do our best otherwise. Post Office Box 1986, Radio City Station, New York, New York, 10101. Norman Duke has won 2 matches here in our live coverage from the North Oaks Bowl in St. Louis. And in steps explosive, exciting Pete Weber, son of Dick Weber. Finished second overall in the tournament, whereas Norm finished 4th. His 2 matches, big ones, 15 strikes and 2 wins. In his first match, he defeated Carlson 235 to 224. Now, he shoots first on the left lane. All but the 4.
Norm Duke in the pocket every single ball in his second match. As you see the ball going up just slightly high, the 2-pin goes to sideboard, drives out the 7, doesn't quite catch the 4. Duke under control, and definitely a comparison or a difference in styles here in this match, Chris. The down and in conventional style of Norm Duke, who can be very, very tough on this lacquer surface condition, and then the powerful, sometimes erratic style of the great young Pete Weber.
All right, is a spare. Both very light when they step on the scales. Duke at about 125, Pete Weber at about 130. Now, the winner of this match will meet a guy that weighs 225 and is 6'3" tall. So together, they weigh a little more. But watch the backswing of this 7-time winner in as many years, a member of the PBA. Seemed perfect, but a 10-pin profile view of that big backswing.
The tip that Norm Duke gave for slightly built players: use all the approach, high backswing. Pete Weber does it so well, all the way to the top of the swing, feet locked as he drives through, a good pivot step, then the tremendous wrist action as he goes quickly for the 10-pin.
And with a lot of speed on that ball. Pete has never won in front of the hometown fans, and Bo, that's something you have experienced, and it does mean a lot to a player to perform well here.
I think so, Chris. You come up through the minor leagues, are like Pete and I both came up through the bowling leagues of St. Louis. In fact, Peter still bowls in league with his dad and his brother, especially his brother Rich, who's helped him so much this week coaching him. But you always want to win at hometown just to show him that you really can do it. Pete says he's relaxed but very determined today.
Come on, ball.
And another 10-pin as he was talking to the ball. Pete Weber, whose mom and dad, Juanita and Dick, are in attendance, along with his brother, Rich. There you see Dick holding a granddaughter, Nicole.
Dee Dee Weber off to the right, Nicole on Daddy's lap, Mama Juanita to the left.
So you've got to consistently mark with spares in all of bowling, and that's what Pete has done. Marked with 2. Now Duke shooting in the second frame. His third game this afternoon. Earnings this year, $3,200. Last year, $22,000. The winner today will get $18,000. After the next game, the winner to go against Dennis Jacques. Now a 4.
Just a bit tentative in the first 2 shots against Pete Weber. He left the 4-pin on the left-hand lane, 4-pin again on the right-hand lane. As you see the style of Norm Duke, a full 5-step delivery, the good high backswing, very similar to Pete Weber. And then the good wrist action as he comes through. He doesn't quite go around the ball, what we say hook turn, as much as Weber, but he gives that good snap release. And look at the revolutions as that ball enters the pocket. Another simple spare. The match will be all even through 2.
All right, sticking a little bit at the line, Norma Duke took a close look at it. So we are all even in the city that was once a French trading post. Lots of history here, Nelson, in your home. Love it.
The city that Lafayette tried to, I guess, get away from France and make it part of France. This was part of the Louisiana Purchase, St. Louis area. Norm Duke taking a re-rack on the left-hand lane once again. And he's asking for a double re-rack. He apparently sees something that is slightly off.
Of course, we're in the St. Louis area today as the re-rack happens. We move to Milwaukee, another cradle of bowling, and David Ozio, who won the Light Beer Classic in Miami, now will try for next week's win to get the second leg of $1 million prize put up by the Miller Brewing Company.
The Miller Slam, if he can win the first 2, definitely he'll have it going into the final tournament in Cleveland. But if somebody wins 2 of the 3, an additional $50,000. Right now, these players are bowling for $18,000 semifinal game.
Come on, Norm.
Spare shooting here in our third match. 7-pin on the left lane. Capacity crowd here.
Looking down at the approach, where to move his feet. Remember, when you start missing left, as Duke has in the first, second, and third frames, you must move to the left on the approach. And one of the ratios the pros move, if you're leaving just a 4-pin, as Duke was left in the first 2 frames, move just about a board. If you start going very high, as he did in the third frame, maybe 3 boards on the approach to the left and 1 to the left on the lane.
All right. Winner of this game, remember, will meet the tournament leader, a determined Dennis Jacques. Carefully cleaning the bowling ball, and there you see Pete's performance. 7 years on tour, 7 victories, 10 300 games. And another 10-pin on the right lane for Pete Weber, who finished second in money earned last year, $174,000.
Weber with that high backswing and powerful driving through in his pivot step. 1, 2, here comes the push away. The height of the backswing as he's quickly up on the approach to shoot the 10-pin here. You'll see it left here. He's going to convert it again. Boom.
2 years ago, Pete, as we look at his wife, Dee Dee, was destroyed by Nelson Burton Jr. in the Angle Open. Top-seeded Pete lost about 236 to 184, and that was the day, Nelson, that you rolled a record 1,050 4-game set.
Now it takes me 5, Chris, to get the same score.
Oh, come on. Come on. Nicole.
Pete Weber, 10-pin first frame, 10-pin second frame, 10-pin third frame. What do? You just keep going to the well. Sooner or later, that bucket's going to come up with water in it.
This one?
Would you believe that is our first strike of this third game. Coming in the fourth, Pete Weber. rolling in here on the championship pair. This is the semifinal match. We'll bring you more of it following this.
National Players Tennis Championships live tomorrow on ABC Sports.
Since we're running behind our normal schedule, we had the bowl through, and Norman Duke, like Weber, matched Pete's strike, the first for Norm in the fourth frame, and now has just doubled to take a 10-pin lead. But we can get back to even if this 23-year-old Florissant, Missouri professional, Pete Weber, comes through. He's on the right lane, heels off the approach.
Weber with that golf-type glove on to get a better grip on the outside surface of the ball. You see him using the whole approach, a full 17 feet. He uses it all. Tremendous snap. Come on.
Gets his double. We're all even. Professional Figure Skating World Challenge of Champions will be on ABC's Wide World of Sports today. Oh, there's some great ones. That's Scott Hamilton on the right. And it looks to me like one of my favorites, Linda Fratiani, on the left. I was in Sweden when she won her world championship.
And don't forget Dorothy Hamill, the beautiful Dorothy Hamill. She'll also be in the competition. Robin Cousins in the men's competition right now. In this competition, a great match game. Two young superstars on the tour. Norm Duke, Pete Weber, even through 5 frames.
Pete looks like he's right in the crowd, but he's on the approach, I assure you. Almost went over the line, but leaves the 10-pin.
You just can't get much more power on the ball than Pete Weber did on that particular shot. You saw his swing come inside out, the follow through the right. The ball just drives 9 pins into the pit. Once again, not to be. Leaves a solid 10. He has to be disappointed with this one.
And fire in his eyes as he goes for the 10. Gets it. 107 through the 5th with a spare in the 6th. Norm Duke at 5 feet 5 inches tall has a double up. He's won 2 games. Now shooting in the 6th frame. Can increase his lead to 11.
Duke carefully setting himself on the lane, playing the inside line. He's zeroed. He knows where he wants to go. Fingertip grip. Extends that index finger for a nice smooth balance of the ball. That's the only purpose of it. Can take a lead of 11.
There's the young man that in 2 matches averaged 7 strikes a game. His mother, Martha Crook, owning a bowling establishment in Mount Pleasant, Texas.
Norm Duke not having the trouble with the 10-pin that Pete Weber is having. It drives the 6 into the 10, knocks it straight in the pit, has an 11-pin lead, and he likes it. Very cool customer under the pressure.
It's Harry Golden, the tournament director for the Professional Bowling Association. Mr. Efficiency. Tough job.
He has told Norm Duke to go ahead and shoot the rack. The American Bowling Congress rule says that if a pin is more than a 1/4 inch off spot, from spot to spot, it's 12 inches, then you can have a re-rack. But the pro bowlers are so used to looking at the rack, sometimes they're a 16th off, and when you have 18,000 at stake, just the slightest movement sometimes will make a player want to re-rack. He didn't get it. Let's see if it affects his shot.
And today, Norman Duke needs to go all the way to re-qualify for the Firestone Tournament of Champions. And he is out there now with a 21-pin lead. Leaving live action for the moment, but we'll bring you up to date when we return.
Life represents.
On ABC's Professional Bowlers Tour, David Ozio will be 1 step away from $1 million payday if he clinches the $150,000 Milwaukee tournament next Saturday.
You saw the back of Pete Weber while we were away because we're running behind schedule. He had a strike in the 7th and then in a crucial position with a strike in the 8th, Bo.
No doubt, that was the one that Weber needed. He reapplied the pressure to Norm Duke, who looked like he was going to start running away with the match with strikes in the 4th through the 7th. But Weber has put Duke in a position where, hey Norm, you got to strike to keep striking to beat me.
Pete looking away. He's 23 years old. 21-year-old Duke. Oh, is he tough? putting together 5 in a row. Had 9. Oh, he has been something today.
Not only a numerical battle going on here, but a psychological battle. As you see Norm Duke drive the 4-7 straight back with a 2-pin. He knows it's solid. Boom, right in the pocket. He has 5 in a row. This frame right here will be the key frame in the whole match for both players. Although Duke has a 21-pin lead, Weber has been zeroed the whole match. That's not much of a lead when your opponent can throw strikes as easily as Pete Weber.
In his last win over Billy Young, 9 strikes, 235 to 207. Weber looking away. 6 strikes in Norm Duke's first win over Mats Carlson, 235 to 224.
We'll learn a lot from this shot. Norm Duke has had 24 consecutive first balls right in the 1-3 pocket. He needs to make it 25 right here. What do you know? I'll tell you, it becomes a psychological game sometimes.
Unbelievable, Bill. And you're always pointing that out. That the physical battle, yes, it's obvious. The mental side.
Well, until you've played the game, Chris, completely and sat there with that bowling ball in your hand, knowing the pressure, all the money on it, 21 years old against a 23-year-older, he showed a lot of composure right there by just holding on to the ball. Let's see if he can reset himself and get back in the 1-3 pocket.
Then the telephone number, 5-7.
The same shot that Norm Duke had in an earlier match on the left-hand lane. He plays the left-hand lane a little too far towards the center, doesn't get the angle of attack. He needs to get his ball over to the right-hand side of the 5-pin, slide it over into the 7. That's the way to convert that shot. And I think Norm will give it a good try because he's so well zeroed on the track zone into the 1-3 pocket. It makes it a little bit easier. He needs this to keep the pressure on Pete Weber.
Conversion in the 9th frame.
Norm Duke moves a little farther left on the lane to have the ball skid down the lane. He nips that 5-pin right on the side, drives it right into the 7. What a beautiful shot from our cameras. What a beautiful shot by Norm Duke.
Look at that.
Just nicks that pin, drives it right in the 7, gets it off the sideboard. He maintains a 19-pin lead. Weber must strike.
Pressure is on. Ladies and gentlemen, competitors, both of them, proving it.
No doubt about it. Watch the 6-pin drive, the 10-pin straight in towards the center of the lane. Then that's when you know you have the right angle. Pete's saying, can I leave another 10? Not to be. I'm back in the match. I trail by just 9 pins. Has 3 strikes in a row working. With 1 more strike, he can take the lead for the first time in the match. 10th frame.
All of competition. There are winners, then there are champions. You're looking at 2 young ones. And the legendary Dick Weber, Pete's dad, watches with you. Championships, a total of 27 in how many decades? Well, the 50s, the 60s, you just keep going on rooting for his son.
Pete Weber has fought a lot of battles in his young life, but he's fighting one of his tough ones right here, trying to win in front of your parents, your hometown, everybody sitting there rooting for you. You want to please them almost more than you want to win yourself. Proud papa there. The situation for Pete Weber, if he strikes 2 more times, he locks out Norm Duke. If he'd happen to get 9 spare, we have a possibility of a 236 tie in this match.
And the championship match yet to come. Waiting to bowl the winner, Dennis Jacques. Oh, yes. 7 years of pro, 7 titles. And there's an example of why up to today he has won 7. He's exciting.
Never a doubt, Pete Weber in the pocket, all 11 balls so far. He knows he's got that power on the ball. He was disappointed in the first 3 frames when he left 10 pins, but under the pressure, all of them have gone into the pit the last 5 shots with a 6th strike in a row. He will shut out a very valiant effort by Norm Duke. If he doesn't strike, we still have a tie or a possible winner for Duke.
His daughter Nicole, not realizing, Dee Dee, Pete's wife, does. Look at that concentration.
Six strikes to close with a 247 for Pete Weber. And he will go into the finals against Dennis Jacques, a tournament leader. The right stuff, Pete Weber. We'll be back.
Excuse me. Coast to coast at York.
Day at 6.
Here in St. Louis, hometown product with 6 strikes at the end eliminates Norm Duke, who had those big games of 235s, 235, and Weber now goes into the final against 6' 3" Dennis Jacques of Middletown, New Jersey, a 3-time winner. Upcoming stops: Light Beer Championship Bow next week in Milwaukee, followed by the True Value Open in Peoria.
Then we go on into the Bob Palin's hometown in the Overland Park, Kansas for the King Louis Open. Then on to the Light Beer Open, a tournament that everybody will be watching with great interest. Possible $1 million to somebody. That would be David Ozio. $50,000 to the winner of the next week's tournament in Milwaukee. As we go, are we ready, Chris, for the championship match?
Look at the size difference. Pete Weber with an unbelievable performance in the last match. 3 games averaging 230s. He shot a big 247 with 8 strikes. Did he leave it all there in that semifinal? Well, in earnings last year, second to Mike Albee, who didn't make the cut here. First shot in the championship game.
Come on, baby, come on.
And as he started the last match, those single pins, this time the 10 on the left.
Pete Weber, one of the few power players today, as you see another solid 10, that learned to bowl on a lacquer finish. Dick Weber Lanes here in St. Louis always had a lacquer finish, as many of the bowling centers in the St. Louis area have on their lane surface. He bowled his first 300 game at age 12. As you watch him kill the shot for this 10 pin. Now watch, this is the way to do it. Straight at it, in over.
Counterpart in boxing is Mike Tyson, a heavyweight. That's what his punches sound like. Now, speaking of heavyweights, 6'3", around 225 from Middletown, New Jersey. 5 years of pro, 3 victories. Almost got the 4-pin, a man who defeated in match play Weber 235 to 225.
A man who is a excellent professional bowler, 5-step delivery, all-around good athlete, cocks that wrist, drives through with that powerful body of his, leaves the 4-pin, simple spare to start the match.
Dennis Jacques, who was on our telecast last year 6 times, second television appearance this year. The opening tournament led the field, but he lost to Randy Peterson in the title game, finishing 2nd.
As you see, Dennis Jacques won the all-time lowest scoring title match. That's a dubious honor as he beat Sam Zurich with 157. Chris, you mentioned the AC Delco Classic. He shot 158 in losing the opening match.
Come on, Kerry! Oh. You know, you can talk to golf balls to no avail, and most times you talk to bowling pins, no avail, but watch.
Such veracity in the voice, and I tell you what, the big guy told the pins what to do. 6-pin comes across, trips out to 4, watch the head pin fall down. 6 goes back and gets the 9. Ho-ho!
And Pete Weber, his opponent, sort of watching a replay on one of the monitors, almost disbelief. The intensity, well, none greater. Combined the total of the 2, Weber and Jacques. Jacques, pretty good temper, wants to be recognized. And Mr. Intensity, Pete Weber. kicks out the 10 pin. Stoughton and then Bob Hanley, Dennis Jacques, and then Pete Weber took the lead away, but Jacques' toughness came through last night.
42-game tournament, 18 games qualifying, led by Dennis Jacques. That's round 3, and as you see, Jacques taking over the lead at the end, and then following us today, one of your favorite sports, Chris, the Professional Figure Skating World Challenge of Champions, following the Pro Bowlers Tour.
What a combination of gold medals, world championships, Robin Cousins, Rosalind Sumners, oh, you name them, Linda Fradiani, Dorothy Hamill, Scott Hamilton.
All great athletes. And here's a great athlete. Needs a strike to take the lead. That's it. That's it.
And Pete wearing the RF microphone. Knew it. Just barely got them all. So the double coming for Weber here in the championship match. They're going to be drained when this one is over.
Dennis Jacques, great all-around athlete. Went to Arizona State on a football scholarship. Made the team. Said he's too big for a wide receiver, too small for a tight end. Stuck with his bowling. I think he made a wide decision.
What power.
Both men determined to win. You can see it in Peter's eyes. Dennis Jacques, he wants to be known as a winner too. He went to the press here in St. Louis. Ray Jordan from the Post-Dispatch, who did such a beautiful job, by the way, covering the tournament. The paper did a sensational job. He told Ray, he says, I want respect. I want some notoriety. What we tell him out here is you got to start winning, and he could take the lead with a strike.
High hit, leaving the 6 pin on the left lane. He is talking to the hand, talking to the grip.
Oh, man, was that bad?
Lost the ball at the bottom of the swing.
Just never got out of that.
Little perspiration, as he said, never got out of the ball cleanly.
And just nips it. Taking very little time in preparation for the shot in this very close championship match. More of it following this message.
He's had 4 10 pins in the first match, 2 in this match. With a conversion here, he'll lead by 10 over Dennis Jacques.
What practice he's getting, shooting 10 pins today. Looks back at his father and his brother, Rich. But he came through with 6 in a row at the end to get into the final. See Jacques with a spare up, shooting in the 5th frame. And as we indicated, position round, Jacques besting Weber. Oof. No doubt about that one.
Perfect shot. That position round was the 42nd game in the PBA tournament this week. On an average tournament that we bowl, 18 games of qualifying, 24 match game finals, culminating with the final match position round. It's Friday night. Jacques beat Weber. Now it's a whole new ball game. Jacques trails by 10, can even the match with a strike in the 6th.
So they are going for the championship. And, of course, $18,000 to the winner, $9,500 to the runner-up. Pete Weber with a 247 against Norman Duke. And this is the tournament leader getting his reaction. Oh.
This is the best I've seen Dennis Jacques bowl in a championship round match, especially for the title. He's determined. He's a tough competitor. He's letting his athletic ability and his bowling ability come through. Of course, Pete Weber, his record speaks for itself, even at the age of 23.
6 frame. Likes that right lane.
Pete Weber started the season off without a cash at the AC Delco and has cashed in the last 6 weeks, has made a change in his bowling ball drilling. He told me he put what we call 3/4 negative weight in his bowling ball. In other words, 3/4 of an ounce of the ball is away from the head pin, so he doesn't drive through as sharply at the back end, but it starts the ball rolling a little more quickly. That's been the combination for Pete Weber as we see the match all even in the 6th frame as Didi looks on.
Pete, who won $174,000 last year, second to Mike Albee. Weber back into a 10-pin lead, but remember, Jacques has a double working. We'll return to this final match in St. Louis after this. Again, repeating as we're bowling late and slow. While we were away, Dennis Jacques with a powerful strike in the 7th, then left the 6th pin in the 8th, marked with a spare. And here in the 4th match of the afternoon, a powerful afternoon, 1 pin separates these two title seekers. Pete Weber's wife looking away. Pete is on the line. He has a double up. This is the 8th frame. Leads by 11.
Well, you just can't perform much better than we've seen these players perform today. The only player that's a little bit lost was Billy Young, but I'll tell you what, as you look at the concentration, determination of Weber, you can just bet that these players like to bowl match game competition on that lacquer surface. The ball doesn't hook wildly like sometimes we see it on urethanes, and it makes for tremendous match game competition. Weber, senior, looking on, granddaughter Nicole, Pete Weber in the driver's seat can extend his lead to 21 pins if he can strike for 4th consecutive frame. This is the 9th frame.
247 to Norman Duke's 234 in the last match. Pete Weber stringing 4, taking a 21-pin lead. Jacques is up with a spare working. He'll be shooting in the 9th, and look at this.
What you use power, what you use your wrist for, that's it, to make those pins dance. Weber in the clutch. Tickles the head pin, drives it to the sideboard, takes out the 4-5-7. He has Dennis Jacques on the ropes.
And even though he rushed to the line, like, let's get this baby over with, he has a strike in the foundation frame.
As you look at Pete Weber concentrating, he wants to win it. The possibilities of this match are this. Dennis Jacques has a potential 248 if he can strike out 3 more strikes. Weber is going at a 249 pace. Anything can happen. 10th frame.
All over.
Despair at the line.
Real good.
All over, and this is the man that wanted Victor today so badly because it's his hometown of St. Louis.
Jacques to convert to 10-pin. Possible 228. Pete Weber just has to stay in the building to win the match. He's looking at the scoreboard. The only thing that could stop him from winning now would be a ill-fated ball in the channel or stepping over the foul line, but he's too smart for that.
And it's tough for Jacques.
Bowled very well. Very aggressive the whole match. Excellent game in the 220s.
For the 3-pin, we also have to go back and praise Norman Duke of Fort Worth for doing so brilliantly, but he met a buzzsaw in this 23-year-old professional, Pete Weber, in the semifinal match, losing 234 to Pete's 247. Jacques 227. And the pity of it all is that we don't have a chance to interview Pete Weber, finally winning in front of his hometown fans. 227 for Jacques. The final score later down the line, but Weber has won the St. Louis Open. The Professional Bowlers Tour. This ABC Sports exclusive has been brought to you by Rich Smooth Meisterbrow, the beer that only tastes expensive. By MF's Angle Ball, Winter Pro Tour's #1 winner 3 years in a row. The Angle strikes again. And by Quaker State Motor Oil, in easy-to-pour and resealable plastic bottles. Coming up next on ABC's Wide World of Sports, the Professional Figure Skating World Challenge of Champions. Scott Hamilton, Robin Cousins, Dorothy Hamill, Rosalind Sumners will be among the champions competing head-to-head in men's and ladies figure skating action for a first prize of $40,000. But here it's $18,000. Nicole and Dee Dee are there, and Dad, the tournament chairman, and Bill Mixon, the proprietor of North Oaks Bowl, have going down onto the approach, and what a big victory. And we may have time for one question from Pete Weber as Nelson Burton has gone down to ask this question. Bo?
Thank you, Chris. Pete, has to be a tremendous, tremendous victory. I stood here 2 years ago, and you stood on the other side. I'm sure that this is probably one of your most thrilling moments.
Well, it is. It's nice to win in St. Louis. I've bowled well before in St. Louis. I lost to you in '84, but you bowled fantastic. I'd just like to thank Bill Mixon for having us here at North Oak Lanes and all the scorekeepers and everybody, and hope we're coming back next year.
Great victory, Dick Weber. Great victory, Pete Weber. I'm so used to Dick beating me. Chris, back to you.
Okay, at 5 feet 7, the guy with a big voice. The winner is Pete Weber. Travel arrangements made through a promotional fee paid by United Airlines, now serving 13 cities throughout Asia and the Pacific. United, a fresh breeze across the Pacific. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports. Once again, the winner is Pete Weber, 267 to Dennis Jacques.
Reds got